I have as my special guest today, Benita Tyler. Benita, welcome to the show today.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show. Benita is the founder of TBS USA. She's a tax accounting expert, and she educates people how to manage their money.
I would say so.
Okay. Benita is a graduate of Wayne State University in business administration, and she went on to get her MBA from the University of Phoenix. So, before we talk about money issues, let's talk about your book.
Okay.
Okay, tell us what your book is going to be about.
Well, the 5 Finance Essentials is the title.
Okay.
For enterprising women.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm writing the book because women business owners have come to me and they've said, Benita, I want to be a better steward.
Mm-hmm.
And they're tired and they're frustrated with wasting their time on record-keeping processes or routines that just don't work. That's not moving them forward. They're tired of wasting their talent on financial concepts that they just don't understand when they can be working their business and developing their business. So they really want to get concepts, quick and easy and simple. What can they do today? And then last but not least, I don't know about you, Barbara, but the clients that I work with, the business owners that I know, whether through training or through, advising them or counsel, they said, I'm tired of wasting my money. And so I'm showing them the how-tos, how to keep more of the money that they make and how to make more of that money grow. And so that's the answer, the solutions that I'm giving in my book.
Oh, this is awesome, because if you start early, say if you start in your 20s managing your money, you wouldn't have to worry too much when you get about 40 or 50.
That's right.
And or if you want to become a millionaire about 25, you can help them become that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That sounds great. What are some of the pitfalls, some of the problems that most young entrepreneurs experience, would you say?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is lack of organization. As we hear about the statistics through whether it's the Small Business Administration or, different government entities that do the research, and they say that within the first 3 years that businesses fail because of poor management. That is so true. I see it time and time again, with entrepreneurs that's just getting started, and not even the startups. It's not just limited to startups, because I work with, companies that have years of experience and they're seasoned. And when it's, just so much activity going on in a business, the owner and even the back office staff can lose track. And so when you don't have that organization and the processes, and I talk a lot about systems. And when you think about systems, I'm not only talking about the accounting software that you load on your computer. I'm talking about the people. I'm talking about the processes. I'm talking about the policies. All of these things come together to make up the system that you need to manage your finances well. And so that's one of the biggest pitfalls. Now that's from the management side of things. Then the other side is the planning. We hear the term, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. But we don't see a lot of planning with, especially with entrepreneurs, the people that's, pretty much managing the companies themselves, because we have so much stuff to do. We're juggling, all of the different things that we don't sit down and we don't create a financial plan. And, a lot of times we hear about personal financial planning. We go to a personal financial planner and they help us with retirement options. But there are some things that we need to be doing as women who are growing enterprises, and keeping the plan in place so that we can, figure out if we're making decisions that's moving us towards wealth or if it's moving us further and further away from our goals. We have to know, from, I'm going to say week to week, but month to month, at the very least, what's going on in our companies, because we need to be proactive versus reactive. And I think once you understand, from a financial standpoint, what's going on, what's impacting your finances, what's impacting sales, what's looming, what's coming down the pipe, whether it's regulatory changes or, economic changes, if we can stay on top of that, then yeah, we can definitely avoid those, the huge downslopes that we have.
Because some of it does have to do with the economic climate, because we had no control of what happened 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But you can have a better foundation when you plan well.
Exactly.
I function on bullet points. So if I had 5 bullet points or 5 keys to success in finances, what would you say those 5 keys should be?
Okay.
And I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but
Well, no, actually, it's
Okay.
boiled down in
it's
my
in your book. That's right.
So I'm actually
because
yeah.
I have to have things like sequential.
Yeah.
And that's how I remember and learn things.
And that's good because
Yeah.
that is exactly, how I have it laid out. And the first bullet point always goes back to the financial foundation.
Okay.
And that is organization, keeping your finances organized, not just throwing the receipts in the bag or, having piles of receipts on top of.
You're in my closet.
Yeah, a lot of people, a lot of us still, because we're busy.
We're busy.
We're busy.
Yes, yes.
But then the second piece of the puzzle would be to, once you have those things organized and you get them, you have them in your accounting system, then you go to your financial reports. Because I look at financial reports like when we were in school, right? We went to school and we did all of the work. We did the homework. We did the assignments. We turned these things in so that we can get a grade. And once we get the grade, it shows up on our report card. When we get the report card, we can see how well we did. And, if we didn't get the 4.0 that we were shooting for, maybe we got a 2.5, then it tells us, what our strengths and weaknesses were. And that's the way I want entrepreneurs to kind of think about the financial reports. Because business, you have some things that you have to do. And every decision that you make, whether you make it or you don't make it, is going to show up on that report.
And so this is like a monthly basis.
It is.
Every month. So
And
nothing sneaks up on you.
Some people need to do it on a weekly basis. So it just depends on how active things are. And that's the key. You have to understand how much information do you need, how often do you need it. And so after the reports comes the analysis part. You don't know what's going on, how healthy your company is until you actually look at and massage those numbers. You need to have some key benchmarks. To figure out, is my company at least performing as well as others in my industry? And so we look at the financial reports and we take that information and look at and do the analysis. After the analysis, we figure out the plan. What's the plan? What did we learn from those financial reports? What were those benchmarks? How close or how far off are we? And then we put together a plan. And then the last and final piece of that puzzle is implementation. It's no need to do all of this stuff if you're not going to put some things in action. And so the implementation comes from wisdom. Right? And maybe you don't know specifically how to do it. That's where you pull in your financial team, whether it's, your accountant, your CPA, your bookkeeper, your tax advisor. You have to, I always say no woman is an island, and we shouldn't have to do everything ourselves. And that's what these key people are for. And so that's where you get to put strategy in action.
So I can be a successful businesswoman.
You definitely can be a successful businesswoman.
So I can change some of my habits.
Yeah.
So as a beginning, when you start your business, what should you have in place initially? I know you talked about the 5 points, but what is the very first thing you should do?
Business plan.
Business plan.
Definitely a business plan. It's your roadmap. I see a lot of people that start in companies, but there's a scripture in the Bible that says a wise man first counts the cost before he builds, and a business plan is going to give you the information that you need in order to put together even a financial forecast to tell you, how much is this idea going to cost me? How much am I going to make? So the very first piece of the puzzle is definitely putting together a business plan.
Okay.
I love to work with professional services firms, but I've also worked with the Detroit Entrepreneurship Institute.
Okay.
I've worked with Anheuser-Busch. You talked about what's one of the first things to do, and I've worked with them to help with business plans and business plan competitions. So that's one of my greatest passions. And then I work with various CPA firms. They hire me to go out and do work for their clients. So it's just been a joy. I've had a myriad of different types of companies that I've worked with.
And just to see a company be successful, and not see them lose money or fail, has to be very rewarding.
Yeah.
Well, Benita's had over 20 years of experience working with small businesses, so she's very well prepared. And so we want you to get her book when it comes out. And would you let our audience know how they can get the book, how they can get in touch with you, and just share with them about your book and where can they get it.
Okay. Well, as I said, the book will be ready. We anticipate a summer launch. We
Summer
are
launch.
so excited. Going to be doing some book tours.
Great.
But to pre-order my book, you can definitely go to my website. My website address is www.tbsusa.com. It has information in terms of how to order, and that's pretty much where we're going to start.
Where you're going to start? You're going to have ebooks
Yeah, we're going to have
and hardcover or paperback.
Yeah. Actually, we're going to start off with the ebook.
Okay.
So it'll be available again in the summer for direct download. So that'll be awesome. And then we will also have print books that we're going to be launching out probably in September.
In September.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
you'll be having book signings and getting the word out
Yes.
about Benita Tyler, the 5 finance essentials for enterprising women. How did you come up with that title, Enterprising Women, and not Entrepreneur Ladies or something like that?
Okay, well, I'm glad you asked me that question because it's a passion of mine. Entrepreneurship is a passion.
Okay.
I've worked for large companies, but the entrepreneur is where my heart is. And I've thought about, where small businesses or where women, when they start their companies, where they kind of get stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And they get stuck with, I have a great idea. I'm going to start this and I'm going to make a little money, There is no reason that we need to make a little money. The statistics show women businesses have grown from 1997 to 2013. The growth rate has been 59%. And among those women businesses that have launched, we make up $1.3 trillion in revenue. And so why can't, my clients, can't my readers be a part of that 1.3 trillion? So I want people to think bigger, on a grander scale, much larger scale, because there's so much opportunity out there. And just to say that I'm a small business owner, I don't think that fits. I think enterprise is more appropriate.
In fact, small businesses putting that out there saying it's going to be small.
Limited.
It's limited.
Yeah.
And you don't want them to think that way at all. And, it just makes no sense to do all the work.
Yeah.
And not be able to make lots of money, not just so much for yourself.
Exactly.
But to be able to help someone else.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here for.
And that's exactly.
And so that we can be a help to someone else. Well, I do aspire to be this kind of woman at some point.
Awesome.
And I'm so glad that I know you, so if I need some help there, and I'm sure I'll need some help getting started, because I really believe that entrepreneurship is the wave of the future, because no one is on a job 25 and 30 years anymore, or can be guaranteed to be on a job. And really, you'll be on a job for 40 years and still not be able to make the kind of money or retire making the kind of money that you can becoming an entrepreneur. And so what type of people do you meet that you would say that's going to be a successful entrepreneur? How, and you being a Christian, I know that you have some spiritual insight. How do you analyze or, I don't want to say judge, but how do you see that person as a successful person? What traits do they bring to you?
Well, I think one of the first things is they're decisive.
Yes, I like that, what you had. Let me just say this, because I thought it was so, you said that you have been working with sharp, decisive, and highly motivated entrepreneurs.
And that wraps
awesome,
it up.
Awesome.
That
wraps it up.
That wraps it up.
And so when you meet that person that's sharp, maybe better just find sharp, because some people may think they're sharp looking, dress-wise.
Yeah.
Seriously.
They can spot an opportunity.
Yes.
And they know, this is, they make the decision at that point. This is the opportunity that, and they're watching and they're monitoring their environment. And they're watching and they are taking decisive action. Saying, you know what, this will be a good fit for my company. This will be a good fit for me to grow. And so that's what I mean by they're always on the lookout. They're paying attention. And they're not letting things get pulled, the wool being pulled over their eyes. And they're not just making decisions from gut. I always talk about making decisions based on gut instinct, but they use the numbers. as well. They have the inkling inside of them, but they always refer back to the numbers. It's smart.
You go back to the numbers in terms of
Supporting your decisions.
Okay.
Yeah, you look at what's historical.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So I have to be sharp.
Mm-hmm.
I have to be decisive. I have to be able to make a decision, because some people can't make a decision.
Going back and forth.
They're back and forth, back and forth. Make a decision, not from the gut, but from realistic options that you're looking at, and highly motivated.
Yeah.
I heard the term once said that you can't motivate someone, but you can create the atmosphere for them to become motivated. Would you agree with that?
I agree.
Okay. All right. And so tell our audience again how they can get in touch with you and the services that you have to offer. Okay.
Well, again, they can reach out to me if they have any questions. Feel free to email me, but you can go to my website at www.tbsusa.com, or you can email me at btyler@tbsusa.com.
And her book will be out this summer.
Yes.
And your passion and your idea, you can get it together with a business plan, and Benita can help you get started to becoming a millionaire. We don't think small, we're going to think large.
That's right.
So billionaire.
That's right.
Trillionaire?
Trillionaire is fine.
Okay. Thanks again for coming and being on the show today. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me.
This is Heart Expression with Barbara, and we'll see you all next time.